Hello, disruptors. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'd like to give people just a minute to join. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to pull up my notes over here because I got lots to dive into today. I'm so excited to talk with you, to train you, to teach you, to introduce you to a concept that has really changed everything for me over the years. And quite honestly, creates massive transformation in the clients that I have the privilege of working with. So good morning. If you're just joining, hop on, say hello. Let me know how you're doing, how you're feeling this morning. And then I'm going to take a quick sip and we're going to dive in. Okay. So just so you have some idea about Thursdays and how, oh, good morning. Hello, hello, hello. So glad you're all here. Welcome. So the group, as you know, is relatively new as of this recording. And I'm super excited that all of you sort of founding members are here and you're posting and you're talking with each other and you're engaging and you're supporting and you're firing each other up and you're cheering each other on. This is beautiful. That's the power of community. Because the truth is, we don't go out and create massive change in the world, whether it's, kind of on a micro level, maybe in your church, your community, or on a macro level, on a global level. We don't do that well, at least in isolation. And so a big goal for me creating this group was to bring powerful, inspired women together who are compelled to do disruptive work, not just call themselves disruptors. And I'm going to talk about that more later, but to do disruptive work in the world. So if this is your first time joining, welcome. So happy to have you here. Inside the free Facebook group, the Disruptors Nation, I am going to be doing Throwdown Thursdays, which is today. So I'm going to hop on and I'm going to do a short mini training for you that's really designed to support you on your journey towards becoming more of the truth of yourself as a disruptor, and then translating all of that into disruptive work in the world. So today, one of my all-time favorite topics, I'm going to be talking about something that I consider to be the seat of your disruptive power, the seat of empowerment for you as a disruptor in the world. And, earlier in the week, I posted about where I asked all of you to share one of your favorite disruptors from all over the world. And it was post after post after post after post. And if you just stop and think about it for today, what I want you to understand and see for yourself is that if you pull out any one of those women and you examine them and how they be in the world and what they do in the world, they've all got one thing in common. And that thing, which any successful disruptor has, is that she has some level of self-mastery that allows her to be in command rather than be in control. They are two extremely different things. And what I teach and what I encourage women to do is to develop the self-awareness and the skills to exercise really what I believe is a state of being in command of yourself, so that your focus, energy, time, and resources are not spent trying to control things all of the time. And I really see this as a non-negotiable success skill as a disruptor. So let's talk a little bit about what the difference is between being in command of yourself and trying to be in control of yourself or in control of outcomes. So control, while we've all felt that we've been in control at one time or another, it really truly is an illusion. And when we're in that illusion, it can feel really great. You can feel confident, you can have some clarity, you can feel powerful and inspired. But the problem is, it's temporary. And it's temporary because control is an illusion. It is an ego-created illusion that really comes from a couple of places. It comes from fear. What does it mean if I'm out of control, if things don't go the way I want them to, if things don't go the way I expected them to, if I don't get the outcome I desire? It comes from a lack of trust. And you can really develop trust and expand trust in 3 areas. Deep trust of yourself, discerning trust of others, and trust in whatever you believe is bigger than you. Now, that may be something that's along scientific measurable lines, like the universe and energy, via quantum physics and what we've learned about quantum physics, or it may be something more spiritual or religious. So quite often in this group or anywhere else you encounter me, you're going to hear me refer to the divine, the universe, my inner wise self, those words. You may use the word God. You may use the word Allah. You may use other words. The words don't matter. We as human beings, however, when we believe that we are existing in, acting in, surviving in, trying to thrive in isolation and disconnection, that is a core source of suffering. The human condition creates suffering when we are disconnected. So those are really the 3 areas of trust. And also, the ego would like for you very much to believe that you are solely responsible for all outcomes. So everything that's good that happens because of you, and everything that's crap that happens also happens because of you. So as you can see, really this idea of being in control of yourself, or being in control of the situation, or being in control of my emotions, these are really illusions, because the only thing you are truly ever in control of is your response to what is going on inside and outside of you. That's it. You have very little control over other things. Command is something altogether different. Command is a state of being that includes several things. Number 1, self-awareness. When you do the deep work to cultivate a real sense of self-awareness, meaning you become an active observer of everything that goes on in you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you cultivate a skill set to step away from consistently judging it and criticizing it and, again, trying to control it. You allow yourself to be in a state, in a place of command, because the observer makes very different decisions than the judger. Okay, the judger makes judgments. The observer assesses, perceives, makes choices. Very different. The observer responds rather than reacts, which is a much more empowered state of being. Command also comes from a real deep connection to your inner guidance. Now, whatever your spiritual or religious or lack thereof affiliations are, the real truth is that each one of us comes to this planet with inner guidance. We come with lots of things. We come with a conscious mind that can be incredibly wonderful and creative and inspired and powerful, and also can create this inner narrative and dialogue that is critical and judgmental and causes worry and anxiety, right? But inner guidance, it goes way deeper than the conscious mind. It's the seat of your knowing. I often refer to my knowing as my intuition, which we all have, by the way. Male, female, doesn't make a difference. We all have it. It's just some of us have done the work to have a relationship with it, and others of us just have not done that yet. And that's okay. You can get there. But it's about connection to your inner guidance and being able to trust that, to guide you on a path that allows you to live an abundant, full life and do powerful work in the world that you're being called to do. And I mean called, my friends. I really feel that this work that I'm doing, it is a vocation. It's almost not optional for me, because if I try to sidestep it, I'm going to keep getting knocks at my door saying, come on, come on, come on, come on. We've got work to do. Okay. Command, as I mentioned before, also is about trust, because if you can't trust your inner guidance and you don't trust yourself, then self-doubt is going to be your biggest enemy. And when we're mired in self-doubt, our confidence goes down, our well of courage is depleted, and our clarity just turns into mud. So it's incredibly important. Also, clarity, command comes from being very clear about your personal values, your professional values, your desires, your deep yearnings and desires, and the vision you have for the disruptive work you are doing in the world and the person you're being when you're doing that work. And the person you're being is an extension of the values you hold dear and also of your worldview. Because if you view the world as an evil, awful, frightening place, the disruptive work you do in the world is going to be born of fear. If you view the world as a beautiful, amazing, limitless place that has some pockets of darkness that just need the light brought to them, the way you're being a disruptor in the world is going to be much more empowered and healthy and impactful. So really important. Two other things about being in command. Commitment. So commitment to yourself, to the truth of who you are, of owning it, of speaking it, of being unapologetic about it, of sharing it, and of getting into action that's aligned with the truth of who you are. And also commitment to the greater good. Look, doing the work of being a disruptor in the world is not ego-driven work. You know, we can't ever completely remove the ego, nor should we. It's fine. But our desire, our yearning, our longing, our feeling compelled to do disruptive work in the world is about the greater good. It is about so much more than you. It is so much bigger than you. I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day about having this moment, really, where I was sitting thinking about the work I wanted to do in the world this year and beyond. And it just sort of smacked me in the face that this is about so much more than me. It's about so much more than my business, my contribution to the world, my personal impact. This is way bigger than me, my friends. And it inspires me every day, because the truth that I work from and my worldview is that now, more than any other time in modern history, we women are being called to rise and do this work because we have the power, the ability, and really the responsibility to be part of the solution of healing the world. And so that's way bigger than just me, my friends, way bigger than me, which is why the Disruptors Nation is about creating a movement of women who believe kind of the way I believe. Because then together, not in isolation, but as a group, as a wave, as a movement, we go out and do massive healing work in the world. And then finally, being in command comes down to you consistently checking in with yourself to make sure your thoughts, your system of beliefs, your decisions, and your actions are all in alignment with the things I just talked about. So your personal values, the goals of the disruptive work you want to do in the world and why, your worldview, okay? All of those things need to be in alignment, because when you are out of alignment, you go to default. And we all have a default. And that default is usually making decisions from a place of fear or anxiety, in other words, wanting to control outcomes, of thinking we know best and we know better than everybody else and we need to tell them, right? So being in alignment allows us to have really so much more freedom. When you're in command, your freedom goes through the roof. And here's why. Let me just take one more quick sip. I'm addicted to this stuff, by the way. Anybody else? Holy cow. Okay. So when you're in command, what I want you to understand you gain from this, okay, is that you create for yourself a deep, deep well of courage. And when you are being a disruptor and you're doing disruptive work in the world, it requires courage. You're going to get pushback. You're going to get criticism. You're going to get judgment. You might even get a lot of anger and sort of hater behavior that's directed towards you. That's not about you. And we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that whole thing another time, because I know it's what holds some of you back from putting yourself out in the world. But when you have this deep, almost unending well of courage that you can tap into at any time, it's a powerful thing. Because this is not about being fearless. Okay, let's be real. And I know that there's some people out there marketing fearlessness. I think that's bullshit. And the reason why is fearlessness is a moment, and it's an experience that I hope you all get to have at some point or another, where you're maybe on a stage giving a speech and you just feel absolutely fearless in the moment sharing your message. But fearlessness is not a requirement for action. Courage is a requirement for action. So the more work you do to build your well of courage, the more able you're going to be to get into action, okay? It also builds the trust I was talking about. So when you have immense trust in yourself, and especially in what you believe is bigger than you or outside of you, so for me, I usually refer to it as the divine and the universe, my unwavering trust in myself and my belief in my connection to something bigger than me, and trusting that it has my back all the time, because the universe works on law, not on personal preference. Oh, I feel like helping her today. It doesn't work like that. Then when I face obstacles, challenges, problems, attacks from other people, and even just perceived failures, my trust keeps me strong, steady, focused, and unwavering. Another sort of benefit of working on command is that you begin to habituate, and this is the important thing. You habituate making decisions from an empowered place rather than a disempowered place. So when you're constantly worried about controlling outcomes or controlling people or controlling your experience, you're making decisions not from inner wisdom, not from your passion, not from your desire to create massive impact in the world. You're making decisions from fear. You're making decisions from scarcity, from being in protective mode all the time. And those are not the decisions that are going to create a ripple effect or a powerful change in the world. You can't make a difference from that place. Okay? Couple more things. Being in command and practicing, and it is a practice, by the way, let me just say that. It's not something that you just flip the light switch on and one day you're like, whoa, I'm in command and that's how it is from now on. It's a practice. It's something you practice and you habituate and you hone and you expand. Okay? It's an everyday thing. It's a state of being. And there is no perfection, by the way. Nobody's perfectly in command of themselves all the time. The win happens when you are quite often in command of yourself more than not. That's the win. So there's no arrival, okay? But when you practice being in command, you also will find, and often you see this in hindsight, you will also find that you're far more resilient than you've ever been before. So things happen around you and you're like, yeah, I didn't really enjoy that a whole heck of a lot. Actually, I feel terrible about it, but I am clear. I am moving forward. I am not shaken to my core. It's like when you wade into the ocean, right? If you stand there and you sink your feet into the sand, when the waves come, You're not going to be overwhelmed and overcome by them because you found a way to steady yourself. But if you're just sort of waiting around and the waves are, you're going to get knocked on your ass. And then before you get up again, another one's going to come and knock you on your ass again. And before you know it, you're drowning. When disruptors are drowning because they're overwhelmed or they're in self-doubt or they're running 1,000,000 miles an hour towards a brick wall, we cannot be of highest service to other people. So that resilience is just incredibly powerful. And then finally, which I think everybody has ways to seek more and more of this, whether it's yoga and exercise and meditation or song or writing or art or prayer or whatever, we all are always seeking ways to be more grounded, to be more centered, to be more at peace. And when you practice being in command of yourself, this becomes more of a natural state of being. And when you're knocked out of that, because you're going to be, because there's no such thing as balance, balance is a fleeting moment also. But when you get knocked out of this grounded, centered, peaceful place, when you have practiced command, you are able to much more quickly, easily, and smoothly bring yourself back to center. So there are so many benefits of this. Being in command is really the outcome of doing the work to create what I refer to as self-mastery. Mastering your inner environment and all the parts of it, your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, your ego, your emotions, how you make decisions, how you get into action, how you set boundaries, all of those things. And I'm going to be talking about this every week for weeks and weeks to come, because I'm so passionate about it. And because I know that when you sink in and create these skills, you become nearly unstoppable. And when you are stopped, it is momentary, it is fleeting, and you don't slide backwards. You get back up, you are wiser because of it, and you move forward. So really, this kind of circling back around to the beginning of this, the results we're looking for from ourselves as disruptors, it's twofold. Number one, we as individuals are creating life and work that fills us, it fuels us, it's aligned with our passions, it allows abundance for us, an experience of all kinds of abundance. So connection and love and being on purpose and financial abundance and opportunities and experiences, all the kinds of abundance. And there's a million more, that's just a handful. But also the other result that's absolutely necessary if you're committed to being and doing disruptive work is your action. What action you are getting into every single day. So what decisions you're making internally that allow you to then get into action. Because we need to be taking our very best actions to disrupt our industry, our community, our politics, our country, whatever it is that you're looking to disrupt, without, and here's the key, without succumbing to overwhelm and self-doubt and giving up and hopelessness and frustration. Or you may identify with the other side of that, which is, you're type A and driven and ambitious, and you find yourself going 1,000,000 miles an hour like a speeding freight train towards a cement wall. You crash and burn out, and it takes a while for you to recuperate, and then you're up and running again. And you know that cycle. Crash, burn, lose time, lose momentum, lose money, lose confidence, because it takes you all this time to recuperate. And then you get up and you're at it the same way again, burning out. When we are overwhelmed and shut down, or we are exhausted and burned out, we are not being of service to others in the world. We are not disrupting the status quo, and we are not doing work on behalf of the greater good. And that's the tragedy. And that's what I am here to teach you to stay out of. And the reason is because being a disruptor is so much more than just identifying with the concept of being a disruptor, or just seeing in yourself tendencies towards being disruptive. It's about so much more than this, my friends. It's about doing disruptive work. It's about taking action in a way that's aligned with what you believe, with who you are, the truth of who you are, and with your deep desire to make a difference in this world. And here's the truth. Sorry, not sorry. Some of you are going to be triggered by this. Without disruptive action that is of highest service to the greater good, all you're doing is being an instigator. All you're doing is pushing people's buttons. Some people call it being a ball buster or being a pot stirrer, which is all ego driven. When you are just out there to push people's buttons for the sake of pushing people's buttons, that's neither empowered, nor healthy, nor helpful, nor is it impactful for making change. In order to truly be a disruptor, you need to be doing work in a way that is empowered and healthy for you and for others, that creates positive change. So my question that I want to leave you with today is, are you going to call yourself a disruptor? Or are you going to do what you have to do to master yourself, to be in command, and to actually go out into the world and be a disruptor? That's what I leave you to think about today. So if you enjoyed this session, awesome. Let me know. Comments, likes, loves, whatever. If your friends didn't see it, tag them in this. If your friends are not in this group yet and you know they need to be, call them in, because again, this is a sisterhood. This is a movement. We do not create big change in isolation. And I'm going to be doing this most Thursdays inside the Disruptors Nation Facebook group. So put it on your calendar, continue to show up. And lastly, I want to invite you to join me next Monday at 1 p.m. for the next Disruptors Make Decisions session. So as you heard me say earlier, we bring our power to create change, not based on calling ourselves a disruptor and, hoorah, and cheering each other on, which is all wonderful, by the way, and we need it, but that's not what creates change. Making decisions and getting into action is what creates change. And so inside these Disruptors Make Decisions sessions, I'm going to be teaching and then reinforcing sort of an internal guidance system for making aligned and inspired decisions about the disruptive work you're going to do. And then I'm going to be doing very fast-paced laser coaching to help you remove whatever block is in the way for you to take that decision and turn it into action right now, this week. So if that sounds like something that would serve you, show up inside the Facebook group Monday at 1 o'clock and join us for Disruptors Make Decisions. There will be a link that's shared inside an email. So if you're not on my email list yet, I strongly encourage you to head over to the homepage of kellyruta.com, which as of this recording, January 2019, the whole site's being overhauled with all new content and new gifts for you. But one of the things that I've gotten the greatest feedback on is what's on the homepage, which is my training, my Overcoming Imposter Syndrome training. It's a whole session on how you overcome imposter syndrome and finally shut down that inner critic so that you can get to work. So get on my list. You will get the email reminders about this, the Thursday Throwdown, about the Monday sessions of Disruptors Making Decisions, and you'll get the link so that you can join via Zoom so that I can coach you. All right, my friends, I am sending you off into the week with much love, much respect, and please continue to engage, post, do live streams inside this group about why you're a disruptor, what you're looking to disrupt, and what action you're taking week in and week out to actually make a difference in the world. All right, everybody, I hope you have the most amazing day. Take care.